2006 Pontiac G6 with 3.5 V6. Going to do the AC compressor. Disconnect the battery. Discharge your system. Disconnect your serpentine belt. Raise the vehicle up. Remove the underbalance panel. It's got the screws, 7 millimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. And a clip on each end. 2 on this end and 2 on this end. 1 there and 1 there. This side's missing one. Okay. And then you want to do your AC line. Remove your nut. It's a 13. Goes up into there. And it has a stud. Take the stud loose. Put your inverted Torx. You have to pull the line off. And then you can pull the bolt out, the stud out from behind the line. And the next thing you're going to do, you're going to take your starter out. Starter. Okay. You got your 2 15 millimeter bolts. Put some penetrate on your terminals. Got a 13 for your battery, and you got an 8 for your solenoid. But you also got to remove this little hunk of plastic to get the starter out, which is 2 10s screws. Okay. And then you got get the starter out, and then you can go to the AC compressor. I already got it out. And it's got 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. So 15 millimeter. And take them out. You got 2 pretty long ones. That's for the top, and a medium, decent length one is in the bottom. This bracket goes behind, goes onto the block behind here. Okay, don't lose this. All right. Okay, once this AC compressor is loose up inside there, then you can get to the bolts for the oil filter housing. So take the oil filter off. You can get to the, and then there's a right here, the wire harness that goes into there. It's a 9/16 bolt. Take that out, push the wire harness up so you can get to the bolts that hold the filter housing, and there's 3 of them, 3 10s. They look like these. Okay. I don't know yet on that, but they look like that. There's 3 of them. There it is right there. Because one of these is in the way of the compressor. The compressor's in the way of it, so you can't get to it. So you got to take the compressor loose first, and then you can get to that bolt. Take this out. Take your gasket out. Don't try not to damage it, because I'm going to reuse it. It's not damaged. Okay, now the compressor's up in there. It's hanging. So reach up in there with a long screwdriver and bend the little thingies away while you're pulling on the connector. You know, pull on the connector at the same time and undo the connector. Try not to break it. Okay, you got the compressor ready to come out. The compressor will come out through here. Don't look like it, but it does. Just take your time. It'll come straight out. Just right on out. Okay, just turn it a little bit, wiggle it. It comes out. Okay? That's how you get it out. You know, I thought about coming over here and doing all this stupid stuff, but right there is the body. It ain't coming out that way. So, starter, unbolt the AC compressor, oil filter housing. Wiggles out, okay? We're gonna wiggle it in. We're gonna connect the connector up, and then I'll put the filter housing back up in there, and then I'll bolt up the compressor. When you get your new compressor, make sure you match it all up. Make sure you put the right amount of fluid in it before you put it up in there. Yeah, here we are with the new compressor. Actually, it took me a couple days to get the right one because I ordered the wrong one. Come with the stud in there. Remove the stud. Remove your caps. Pour 1 ounce of oil dye in here. Put the cap back on. And remember, this does fit up in there between there, so I'll give it a shot. Okay, just want to show you the angle that it's going up there, okay? Alright, that's the angle that went up in there. So it does go in there, okay? I'm going to finish it off. Okay, I got it up in there. I got the bottom bolt in first. Got it started. Okay. And don't forget about your spacer that goes on the 2 upper bolts. Okay. And that will go up in there onto those. Okay. Now I'm gonna work on that. Alright. Okay. I got that one started. Put it in this one. Okay. So now I just swing it up and push the other. I get the other bolt started into the compressor, and then I'll swing that little bracket up, and then I'll start it in my holes. Okay, I got them all in. Yep. Got them all in. Got my bracket all lined up. I don't know if you can see it or not, but maybe not. Yeah. They're started. All started. Now I just use I'll push them up. I'll push the compressor up against the block, and then I'll snug up my bolts, and then I'll torque them down equally. Okay. Okay, you got the compressor up in there. So all the bolts are started. Now all you gotta do is clean off the area for your oil filter housing. Clean that area off. Clean off your oil filter housing and clean off your gasket. If you got a new gasket, that's great. Okay. Remember, it just goes down to the lower bolt hole. The slot goes down. Okay. In case you want to put it in like that. Alright. Put it in like this. That way. Okay. The slot goes to that one. Okay. Alright. You can start the bolt and you can put your gasket up there, and then you can put your housing up in there, however you want to do it. Okay, I goofed up. Before you put all your bolts in for the AC compressor, just make sure you get the top left one in, so you can swivel the compressor off to the side, so you can put your oil filter adapter housing back on. I just loosened my bolts. I got them loose enough so I can get my finger behind it. What I did was I started this inner bolt first because it's got the slot and the slot in the gasket. I got it fairly close. Put the gasket up in there, and then I fed my housing down in there, and then I tightened up snugged up my other 2 bolts on top. Snugged up this one on the bottom with a ratchet wrench. Tightened them up fully on top, and then tightened the bottom one all the way fully. Okay, now it's tight. Now I can tighten my AC compressor bolts running up in there. Put new gaskets on my compressor lines. Put my bolt in, my stud in through the back. Thread it into the compressor, tighten it up, and then put my line nut on and get that good. Okay, make sure it's plugged in. You know, 3 compressor bolts are tight. Don't forget about this bolt for this bracket. Okay. Okay. You got your bolt tight for your harness. Put your starter on, tighten your starter bolts. Put your terminal wire terminals back on. Your 8 and your 13. Get your little bracket that goes up in there. Put that back up in there. Don't forget about your oil filter. Put your belt on your compressor. Put your belt on your lower crank so you can get them ready to go. You got those done. Then you can put this under shield back on, okay? I got all my panel parts back up. Got my belt on. The compressor pulley, got it on the crank pulley. You got everything back underneath. Compressor tight, compressor plugged in. Line, compressor line tight. Starter back in, terminals, nuts on, my shield on. All I gotta do is lower down and evacuate, put a vacuum on. Okay. Got my belt on, got my battery reconnected, belt is routed right. Got my vacuum pump on. So I'm gonna put it on there for like 15 minutes and then I'll charge it to 1.1 pounds. Okay. Other than that, and we are done.